odds. Right, come on, you fatty. Come on, fatty. I don't even know who lives in there or what the hell's going on there. Could I sleep in there today? Oh, no room.
And we're on the way there. Ignore the fart. We go, and a bit of that, and a bit of...
Singers, James, singers I've got. My pedal broke, man. And thanks to Showdown Bros, Mick is on the most useless street in the world. Come on! Always keep a shoe in your kitchen department, guys. Don't worry, it's the COVID talking. It's probably wild boar, a few bears, a lot of women washing their cars saying hi on the side of the road. Go on, Mick, feel it, Mick, feel it, feel it. I might be going mad. Want to see me underwear?
If you've watched this channel and haven't looked into the Where is Mick series, you may need a little refresher. Mick Claridge is attempting to ride his bicycle around the world, and we've been documenting his journey. It's had lots of ups and downs, but sadly the down part was just about rock bottom lately, and nearly all of his equipment was stolen. After returning home with his fans' encouragement, he's resolved to get back on the road and get back in the saddle. So in an effort to help him out, we're holding the Where is Mick charity races. You'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. I am Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is IMSA driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes, our director Ryan Bauer, and is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. First up today is VIR. While this place wasn't around during the era of the camel cars, it's proven a great fit. Let's take a closer look with our track guide. Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. Only a short trip away from the state's border with North Carolina, this track has had the rare blessing of being resurrected from the dead. After closing for a quarter century, once it was rebuilt, it quickly began to draw major sports car series to its halls. The new owners didn't skimp on refurbishing the place either. An impressive 5 versions are available on iRacing, with a range between 1 and 4 miles in length between them. With that much pavement, the plethora of corners have earned some colorful nicknames. The horseshoe kicks things off right away with a never-ending double apexer that tends to suck the greedy out into its runoff. Later on, the climbing S's force you to thread the needle before spinning you out into the steep drop at South Bend. Then, of course, there's Oak Tree, which sadly no longer sees its namesake landmark on the inside of the turn, but still retains its frustrating difficulty. Let's not forget one of the scariest obstacles at the end of the lap, the roller coaster. The incredible speed drivers carry up into this blind braking zone is what causes it to require such immense bravery to get the most out of the lap. While passing can be tricky here, the long backstretch nicknamed Madison Avenue and the lengthy front stretch do tend to offer enough of a draft that you can still give a go at a pass. Still, track position is usually an important factor in most races. With the picturesque backdrop of the Appalachians around them, fans are not left wanting when they come to watch drivers face off at this historic track. It's no wonder the circuit has found success in its second chance at life. I know I don't have to try and persuade you to sell this place, Joey, because it sounds like this is one of your favorite tracks.
It really is. I get a little happy every single time I see it on the schedule. Virginia International Raceway, 3.27 miles of heaven, in my opinion, and it's a fast-flowing racetrack that has changed shape over the course of the years, but it still holds its original layout. And I think some of the most iconic turns here going up the climbing S's. And folks, this is a flat out climb, usually top gear, fifth gear, using the downforce on these cars as you go up through these rising S's. And it leads into what was the Oak Tree turn. Unfortunately, Oak Tree is no longer there, but it is still known as Oak Tree. And then down the very long back straightaway here at VIR, top speeds are incredibly fast. You see roller coaster and hog pen. Well, it starts the roller coaster at the top of the hill and ends in the hog pen at the bottom, coming to complete the lap. Yeah, Joe, like I said, VIR, a special place for me. I love it here.
Absolutely. I'd love, it's on my bucket list of tracks to get to at some point. Could be a little easier compared to some of the ones that I want to go to. But let's take a look at today's race. We got two of them happening. This is going to be the first one, and they'll be short, only 20 minutes. Now, this race will have the Camel GT cars, the Nissan GTP ZXT and the Audi 90 GTO. And the way this is going to work, because we're going to have 4 races over the weekend, all working towards the feature on Sunday. Top 5 in each class advance to the feature. Right now, though, it's the top 4, or there's only 4 of our GTPs that have signed up into this session. So unless we get 2 more, everybody in that class is going to be able to advance into the feature race, which will be at Rudskogen and the GR86s. They also have 1 spare car because, well, it's a short race. It's Camel. It's going to be a little chaotic, and we want everybody to have fun. So they'll be able to hop back into the car if they run into trouble out here. So it'll be frantic. It should be exciting. But most of all, hopefully this will help us raise some funds. So for those that don't know, to get more into detail, because we've only touched on it tangentially, like we said, Mick is on a bicycle ride around the world, mainly for the challenge and also to get to meet all of his sim racing friends. He's been collecting signatures on an iRacing t-shirt. If you've been following his show on the channel, you already know most of this, but for those that don't, he's had a couple of stabs at it, and his most recent attempt, which we're going to be hopefully sharing episodes of soon, unfortunately got interrupted when in Kazakhstan he had his bike stolen. All of his gear was with it. The only things he had was his phone, stuff that he had in his pockets, the shirt on his back, the camera, thankfully. And he literally had to walk, I think he said it was something like 12 miles next to the nearest town through the desert. So it actually was quite dangerous. This was a serious risk to his well-being to get back to where he could get to civilization and eventually fly home. So, Joey, this is, I'm so proud of this community. A lot of money has been raised. We have a link in the description below. Everybody's kind of come together to help him recover the funds to get back on the road and try to make this challenge, finish this challenge. So hopefully today's race will give us some fun, but also help Mick get back on his feet. Absolutely.
You know, we're always here for a good cause, and I haven't gotten to know Mick very much, but, you know, over the course of the last year, coming and doing these Lotus 49 races and seeing the community that really rallies around Mick and where he races and all of the stories that go along here with GSRC and what he accomplishes, it really is awesome. Mick has made a fan out of me, out of all of his adventures as well, and kind of fun to go out here, do this broadcast race. But like you said, it's all for a good cause. It's all to get Mick back on the road and really finish that goal, finish his journey.
And we've also pinned the link in the YouTube chat too, if that helps you go and donate. There's the GoFundMe still has funds left to get to the goal, but we've raised a lot of money already. And all of these drivers who are out here have donated to be able to partake in this race. So these are all the people that we're also trying to reward here for having to put their money where their mouth is and help funding them. So if you missed it a little bit earlier, we even had one driver who sadly could not be here in this race try and show his support. Seb Tixier who races the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series, actually made a cardboard cutout of Mick and well, not glued, but attached it to his VR headset so that we could have some fun during that race a little bit earlier. Big thanks to Seb. I know he donated as well, just sadly can't race here today. Just want to give him a shout out for all he's done. As Emerson got in there having some trouble here in qualifying. We are in the midst of qualifying. It's going to be a 20-minute race, but drivers trying to find their track position here. And right now it looks like Sintez Galindo, multi-time champion in the Camel Series, on the provisional pole up there in the GTPs. And Phil Lake, no surprise there, leading the GTOs.
Right on board one of these Audi GTOs. Going through turn 3 here. A little wide, use all of that runoff. I did mention that VIR, it's the same layout as the original, but you see all the extra runoff that's actually been added in the last handful of years. iRacing's gotten back out there, gotten the new updated scan. So this is the most updated version, and honestly, it's making me a little happy over here, Joe. I would love to be on pit lane listening to these giant turbo motors scream up the front straightaway. It would be a sight to see.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's too bad that this track was shut down at that time in history that these cars were running, because surely it would have been an absolute phenomenal ride for the drivers. Scary, but I'm sure a lot of fun, as Andrew Gajarek right now still needs to set a time, has not put a lap down. It's not a huge field, but I got to think with how short this is, track position going to be important today.
It's always nice to at least put down the qualifying time, or if you're not going to put down the qualifying time, get the practice laps in and sometimes just kind of get into the groove. As you see, going a little bit too deep into turn number 14 off of the back straightaway there. That's the highest speed section at VIR. I don't doubt if we're going to see multiple cars kind of making that similar mistake of going too deep into that brake zone.
And real quick, before we finish qualifying, I want to give some love to Ben Laughter. He's waiting to chat with us. And Ben, a huge thank you for putting all the effort behind the scenes to put this together. From what I understand, you were kind of a big impetus to help get Mick back on the road. Do you want to talk about your involvement in this event? Oh, might not have been mic'd up properly here. Let's see if we can get Ben on his mic and chatting with us here in just a second. He did a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of the thankless work that goes into these events usually, that nobody likes having to do all the admin stuff usually, but Ben really got his elbows in and did his best to make sure this goes off without a hitch, and that everybody is contributing both this race and with the fundraiser to help get that off the ground. Ben, do you have a copy?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We got you now.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Comedy of errors for me this morning. But yeah, so you were asking about kind of the impetus here. Number one, thank you to GSRC and to all the vintage communities for being a part of it. Kind of wish we had a bigger grid today. Looking forward to the Lotus stuff. I'm going to try my hand at the 49. But yeah, the impetus, you know, I'm a cyclist. I've mountain biked and road biked for years, and I think anyone who's spent time on mountain bikes and road bikes has always wondered, could I ride across the country? Could I ride across the state? That kind of thing. And so when Mick said, listen, I'm going to ride across the world, I found that to be really inspirational and interesting and fun, you know, as a fellow middle-aged man. When his bike got stolen, you know, it's like I was living this adventure sort of vicariously through his posts and through the GSRC videos, and it broke my heart. And so, you know, I started up a chat with him and sort of convinced him to let the community try to help out. And this community has stepped up. And so sort of culminating today, we've raised around $4,200 in total from Mick, which gets him almost all the way back to getting all of his gear replaced. If any of you out there do any kind of serious cycling, you know how expensive this stuff is. And not to mention the tent and all the endurance gear that was taken from him. So, you know, got to offset the bad people with the good, and this community is full of good.
I think that's what makes me feel the most, warm and fuzzy inside about all this, is that this really was everybody trying, because I can tell you, I talked to Mick, pretty much as soon as it happened, he got in contact with me to let me know, because for those that don't know, I do the video editing, so I work closely with Mick on this. And he was pretty distraught. He was really down and upset and angry and I'm sure a little bit scared about everything. And everybody coming together and really getting behind him was sort of the emotional underpinning that he really needed. So I can't thank you enough. I can't thank the community enough for really coming together and try to lift him up.
Well, it's been my absolute pleasure. Mick's a pretty special dude, and really deserves the support and deserves to finish this adventure. So I am absolutely thrilled that he's going to get back on the bike, and I hope when he rolls through Atlanta that he and I can grab a couple beers together and have a good time.
Same. I'm looking forward to him coming to visit me, because he's been insisting on visiting me as well. Again, thank you, Ben. And if anybody does want to help, we have both a link in the YouTube description and it's pinned in the YouTube chat. So Ben, hopefully we'll continue to get this all the way up to the GoFundMe goal.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hopefully we put on a fun show for you here, and then I'll see you at Okayama, where I will finish last.
All right. It has been Laughter, who's going to try and take part in this a little bit later on. Again, we've got 4 races happening this weekend. This is the first of the 4. We got 2 today, 2 tomorrow, all working towards the feature at the finish. Hopefully, we will narrow this down to 25 drivers competing, as Andrew Gadgerik's going to have a bit of a hard time because he hasn't set a qualifying time at all, as he spun out there on that last lap. So that is it for the qualifying in today's race. Not the biggest of fields, but as we said, this is mostly for fun and mostly to try and help raise awareness to help get the funds together for Mick. And it is Heitor Sintez Galindo at the top spot for the GTPs. Togo Hisada, who just won at his home track in Suzuka, and is going to be starting from second here today, with Emerson Gaudin in third and Lance Simon in the 4th position. Small field in the GTPs, Joey, but should still be fun. What about down in the GTOs?
Yeah, GTOs, we have Philip Lake in the number 99 on pole position. Ove Trengrade going to be joining him on the front row of those GTOs in second place. John Olsen in third. Yuri Giesen in 4th. Jamie Hommel-Smith in 5th. Ben Laughter, who we were just talking to, is going to be rounding out in 6th place. Bjorn Ackerman in 7th. Glenn Becker, who didn't put down a time, and then Andrew Garchik as well, who we were just watching. I gotta say, Joe, looking at the names in this and seeing the Lotus 49, the 79, the Camel Series, this is almost like an all-star race.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's part of the thing that's going to make this fun, is pretty good conditions, too. It's 72 Fahrenheit on the track temperatures. Boy, I bet you would love this, Joey. 65 Fahrenheit out here at VIR. You don't get to enjoy that much.
No, and I think the biggest mistake out of it is that humidity. 67% humidity? Since when is that happening in Virginia?
Poor Joey's going to be bitter after this one. So as they take off on, thankfully, a short pace lap down Madison Avenue, the pace car is going to peel away and should be on their way. Here's Glenn Becker giving us one of his one of the cams that we'll hopefully have here today. Not sure if we'll have anybody in the Lotuses later on when we go to Okayama. But Glenn representing over here in the Camel cars with that Lotus livery on the Audi, as they split up the start like they traditionally do. The top 4 with the GTPs coming down through Hogpen and on to the main straight. It's going to be one of those critical corner exits as you watch the GTOs as well weave their way into there. The uphill climb into pit entry past the red barn. Pace car is in. Multi-time champion Sintez Galindo is on the loud pedal pretty much immediately and sends it down towards the horseshoe. He gets a very good jump, but it looks like it's going to be a challenge between Gaudin and Hisada down into the first corner, but they're going to go single file, so nice clean start. Let's go to the GTOs.
Ooh, almost a little bit of door banging between John Olsen and Ove Trengrade, packed side by side going into turn number 1 for the first time between third place there. That's Yuri Giesen trying to make his way up, and still side by side there for third place as we go down into NASCAR turn 3 is what it's known as.
as they work their way through that tricky left-hander and now down into the left hook. It's again also single file very quickly, but Lake trying to stretch his way away from Trangrade. John Olsen has a lot of pressure from Yuri Giesen, who's already side by side, and he has to back out.
Up through the climbing S section, and in these GTO cars already 150 miles an hour, really using all of that all-wheel drive to try to keep the contact patches on the ground.
And around that tricky south bend where the track absolutely drops away, then into the difficult braking of Oak Tree. So far, not seen a lot of pass attempts. This is actually very well behaved for both a fun race and a very short race. By the way, that is at 25 minutes, you may have noticed. So slightly different from what was planned, just a little bit longer. Yuri Giesen, unfortunately, falling backwards as here comes a run from Trangrade for the lead. He's going to look for it into the roller coaster and then backs out.
Got to get the car stuck at the top of the hill. I see one car off. I believe that was Bjorn Ackerman. Locked up the tires, but this is kind of where this car is at home. It is a rally car after all.
Exactly. It was based on the car that was so dominant, but adapted for IMSA, hence the four-wheel drive, which proved to be a key factor in it. Togo Hisada, can he go back-to-back here and take the win in the camel cars here? Not an official camel race, but still with some big names. I mentioned multi-time champion Heitor Sentes Galindo.
Now, Joe, you'll have to fill me in. Has Togo been doing any of the camel stuff? I know he's dipped his toe in the Lotus 79 pond, but has he been doing any GTP racing?
I'm pretty sure. I actually have to go, and I don't have my stat sheet readily at hand. I'll have to try and dig up that link and go take a look. But I'm pretty sure we've seen him in the camel cars at some point, which is amazing because it gets super late at night at the usual time for him, and he's based in Japan. So it's already, I think it's something like 1 or 2 a.m. for him.
And to let everybody know who's watching now, Togo Hisada just won the Lotus 49 race less than an hour ago at Suzuka. So he's using a little bit of that momentum. I'm sure he's feeling a little bit of a runner's high right now.
Yeah, that's true. The adrenaline keeping him awake. And he's young, too, so I'm sure he can stay up.
Hit the Red Bull.
Stay up pretty late. Ove Trangrade, he was very fast last time through. He's got another run. Is he going to be able to get side by side? He is going to be able to get the overlap, but now can he finish it as he looks for it? And they go wheel to wheel down through the roller coaster, round the outside. Job is still not completely done.
And still side by side, heading down into the hog pen section. That's Philip Lake versus Ove Trangrade in the Audi GTOs. John Olsen is going to take advantage of the open door, and really John's going to have a fantastic run on our leader now.
Trangrade goes from hoping to get one to losing one, but now here comes John Olsen trying to take the lead away from third to first here potentially. Looks on the outside into the horseshoe. That leaves the door open. He gets a bit of a tip. He slides around, keeps it from completely spinning, but he's off course, loses multiple spots. So does Trangrade, and it's Jamie Hamill-Smith who picks up the pieces.
It's a little tricky when you get nudged. I know these cars do have all-wheel drive, and sometimes you just have to tell yourself to keep your foot in it, even though it's not what you want to do. Unfortunately, you saw there John Olsen spun to the inside, got on the grass, but Joe, Togo Hisada, he seems to be on it right now.
Absolutely. So Hamill-Smith moves into P2, and Hisada, I was able to get my sheet up. 27 starts and a victory in there. So yes, at least in the prototypes, which he's racing in right now. I haven't looked at the GTO stats yet. See if he's hopped over to those. Interesting that he has done well in the Nissan, because of these two cars, I definitely consider the GTO much closer to the Lotus 49, which is, we know is Togo's bailiwick.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to mention, is that the GTP is a little bit more like the Lotus 79, as we watch Ove Trangrade get alongside Jamie Hamill-Smith. This is going down the back straightaway one more time. Ove looks to be able to complete the pass before getting into turn 14 this time. Andrew all the way up on the bumper of Hamill-Smith there. But yeah, I think the 79 and the GTP are a little bit more similar, while the 49 and the GTO are a little bit more similar. Maybe he's just learning a little bit more downforce. After all, it is just extra grip.
Exactly. And, honestly, the drivers who are fast and one car usually are fast in just about everything. So giving us some good fun here, at least at this stage, as the drivers are only about 6 minutes in, side by side in the back of the pack there. That was Ben Laughter and Yuri Giesen fighting for the lower positions for a 6th spot down there. And they're going to go side by side through NASCAR.
Yeah, that's through turn 3 there, and this is the slowest section of VIR. I mean, I guess you could argue that Oak Tree is about this slow as well, but this is more of the technical, slower first third of the racetrack. And then once you get out into the lower S's, which we're exiting right there under the bridge, go up into these climbing fast S's. I'm seeing over 150 miles an hour in these Audis.
And apologies to Andrew. It's Gatorick is his last name. We haven't seen him in a while, and I had lost my notes on that name pronunciation. So big apologies to Andrew on that one. So we come back to Togo Hisada once again. He's making this a good race here in the Nissans. The top two here are very closely matched for the lead, less than 3/10 separating them.
I mentioned it's a little bit like an all-star race, like we've got all the MVPs out here, and I wasn't expecting this. I'm used to seeing Aitor Sintez Galindo and these GTPs just go out there and be so fast. I know Togo Hisada is incredibly fast himself, but honestly, Joe, I wasn't expecting it.
We were talking earlier today about the race in Japan being kind of personal for him. I wonder if that's also why we're seeing him in that Nissan. The Japanese brand probably explains why we see him racing this and not the Audi, and surely is taking to it extremely well. Now the question is, can he get enough of a run here out of Hogpen? Because they do give a little bit of slipstream, and down the main straight, that is a long run to the first corner.
Be one of the Audis way off in the grass out there. When you go off in Hogpen, you usually find yourself way out there. Togo looking down to the inside. I think that Togo is starting to feel a little racy.
Took a big look, but wasn't quite able to get side by side. Gaudin's about 7 seconds back, so they are no threat from those behind. They are free to race. So we watch from the onboard from the Japanese driver down through the left hook. Here's where things get very narrow into the snake. Have to stay single file.
I'm actually looking at the GTO lead right now. I think Ove Trengrade is going to have a good run going down the back straightaway on our GTO leader of Philip Lake. I know that GTP battle was close, but Ove has been really hunting down the 99 the last lap.
He's got a very good run. This time he's going to try the right-hand side. Last time it was on the left-hand side, which puts him on the outside of the downhill plunge, but it doesn't make a difference. He still isn't able to get by, and they'll stay put. Phil Lake is known for being quite fast in both makes. Both classes in the Camel GT series. Here we go again with Togo Hisada, but looks like he also is going to run out of room. Now, these cars, I believe, are catching up to the back of those GTOs, so they're already starting to lap them.
Yep, here we go. We're going to see the back of the GTO field right here. You see the yellow Audi going to be the first one to get by, and then this is a little bit further up the field going through South Bend there. But I was noticing coming off the back straightaway, Joe, it was the first time that Aitor went defensive going into a brake zone.
That's a good point. So he's starting to feel it, and he's having to cover off those inside lines, as he does once again down at a NASCAR. That can often compromise you through that left-hander, but they both hold on to it. Did see a little wiggle from Togo, so he's leaving nothing on the table.
I think the biggest difference between those Lotus 49s and these GTPs is probably that turbo spool up. I know that he's very comfortable trying to get the power down, but how it is delivered is very different between the two cars.
And the thing that amazes me, honestly, is you think about the time period between the 49s and these Nissans is, this is a good opportunity, because they're going to get held up by traffic. Yeah, still going to try and wait patiently behind Ben Laughter here. Don't want to tick off the guy that helped organize this race. There we go. Now they continue on. I was going to say, it's just a little over 20 years. So think about now to the year 2000. And while the technology has advanced, I feel like this is such a massive jump between the technology of 1967 and 1989.
Yes, and as we go around more GTO traffic, Togo going around the outside going into Hogpen, you can do that with all the downforce. I've been noticing these two have been so... Yes. Oh, boy, I did not see that one. That was Andrew. He had a problem coming out of Hogpen. Usually on the other side is where it happens, but not on the driver's right.
Spun it across the track, bounced off the Arco. Thankfully, did not hit anybody, so Gatoric, unfortunately, going to have to go and take that spare car with that one. And that's going to put him out of the running for the top 5, most likely, unless we have a lot of incidents with the other drivers. In the meantime, look at how much of a checkup it is between these two. And this is the battles for the lead now coming across one another.
I didn't notice that Trangrade had damage on the nose. These GTP cars should be able to just scoot right on by the GTOs by the time they enter the S's. Oh, the Philip Lake is able to clear one car, but it's actually Togo Hisada that gets caught up. He's going to clear him before entry of turn 10 to go chase down Etor again. But look at that big gap. That was just one corner.
Yeah, Phil Lake definitely appreciated that one, and so did Sintez Galindo, as both of them have split apart from their rivals. So now we get a chance to finally look a little bit farther behind. Hamill Smith and Geeson fighting for third. Remember, top 5 transfer into the feature race, although you will have, excuse me, it will have a last chance qualifier Sunday morning before we get to that feature race with the Pro 2 trucks at Laguna Seca with no track limits in force. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, I'm going to be watching that one, probably amused the whole time. And Joe, I want to go back to what you were just talking about, you know, the technology difference and really how fast these race cars are. I think that this was in an era, kind of the 80s and the 90s, where we understood aerodynamics, but we didn't really. We just kept adding these big wings and these big tunnels, and until the car finally gave out, we just kept pushing it.
Exactly. It still was a bit of a black magic. And away as Geeson overshoots the corner, and unfortunately is going to have to continue to fight with Hamill Smith, or fortunately, depending on if you're enjoying this battle. But Jamie's going to be on the outside in a NASCAR as they bang wheels NASCAR style through there, and he's going to get away with the position.
Looks like Geeson might have got held up between a couple of gears, and these cars, they still use that H-pattern gearbox, and sometimes it can be tricky finding the right gear.
If ever there was an Achilles heel for this car, that gearbox was it, and these drivers have discovered it on iRacing. It is notorious for not wanting to go into gear, as even the best and the most precise drivers will miss one at some point during the race typically. But back to Hisada is within 1/10 of a second with a big run, but he's got the wisdom to stay out of it here.
It's a tough pass on the end of the back straightaway. You see Etor going driver's right. I know that technically is opening up the inside, but it actually gives him a longer braking distance, opens up the radius so he can actually brake deeper and harder on the brake pressure. It's a pretty interesting line going into 14 to try to overtake.
You know, you talk about the downforce that these cars produced and the knowledge that they had at the time. I know I'm biased because I grew up watching the 90s, but I miss this era where the wings weren't that complex, where, I mean, even you look at these cars, they're just a giant wedge is all they are. And I don't know, something about the aesthetic and the fact that they don't seem as sensitive just because they were so basic. It felt like such a golden era.
I think one of the reasons why they weren't affected as much, Joe, is you look at the downforce levels that they produced, and it's very similar to what we produce now. It's crazy, the grip that these cars have as they approach another GTP or GTO pack here. But they were so simple, and we just kept adding it on. We kept adding more downforce, and I just think it overruled that dirty air.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and almost 4 wheels in the grass there for Sintez Galindo as they come across a battle. Glenn Becker tries his best to stay off to the side as Gatoric is back on the track. Excuse me, not a battle. No, it is a battle. It's for 8th, but they're laps down, both of them. So that is for position. No change, though, for the lead as Hisada was not able to get by, but Andrew sends it in deep and overtakes Becker.
Well, and, you know, I really like what I'm seeing out of these two drivers. I think they're paying respect to Mick and this charity race. They're not making a mess of things. They're out here battling and having fun doing it and making sure everyone is being respected on the track.
Oh, somebody, though, unfortunately lost the plot down the back stretch up Madison Avenue. That was Phil Lake, and Ove Trangarade pounces on it and is going to be able to take the position. That's a strange place to lose that one. Did he miss a shift and get bumped or something?
That's what I'm going back and looking at.
No, it's like he went defensive and just went too defensive or something.
I think that's exactly what happened, Joe, is that maybe he was trying to time a little bit of a defensive move. And I know this sounds a little silly. The back straight is over the crest a couple times. It's easy to lose visual sight.
We have to remember, these GTOs do not have a lot of downforce. They are very boxy, so they punch a big hole in there, but they don't stick to the track very well. There goes train grade very wide. So they do produce a lot of power. In fact, at the Nürburgring, they're one of the few cars that you can make get in the air. So yeah, I wonder if they get light over some of those crests just because they're going so fast.
And I always, this is a joke, but I always joke that they look like hovercrafts out there with how wide and how low they are. And you're right, the minimal downforce, couple it with the all-wheel drive, they seem to be sliding all over the place, which is exactly how you have to drive an all-wheel drive race car. But you couple that here with iRacing, it just looks like a hover car.
And for those that think I'm speaking in hyperbole about how powerful and fast these cars are, they compete with the Nissans on these long straights, actually. If you let them get wound up, they actually almost hold up the Nissans in some spaces. But it looks like Ove is holding up Phil, who gets a good run, and he's going to be able to get side by side. Will this battle carry on as they get loose? And both of them are able to keep it on the track, but just barely. Phil is back in the lead over Ove, but now it's about a second between them. Can he catch him back up?
Yeah, Trangrade got really out of shape into the brake zone there, had to give up the position. Now we ride on board with Jamie Hummel-Smith. And Joe, you said 4th place on in gets you advanced. Well, that is the cutoff line. 5th place, okay.
Yeah, so Ben Laughter right now is in there, but he's got John Olson with him, so that is a bit of a fight. In fact, here we see it on screen right now. Wonder if he'll just let John by, since Ben put this thing together, or if he'll fight him hard for it. Well, John's going to have a nice little run here. Yeah, Ben doesn't put up too much of a fight. Oh, he comes back at him, though, down into the break into the horseshoe, and is going to try to go around the outside. That's a difficult move to do. He's going to hang tough. John Olson will now switch to the outside through NASCAR Ben. Can he cut down? No, there's a car there, and they continue on.
Yeah, and there's also the GTP car of Lance Simon looking right at the back end of this battle. Still looks like Ben Laughter is all over the back of John Olson. He's still trying to fight for that transfer spot.
Absolutely is. So here comes Simon, who is going to interrupt them briefly, and he's through. And thankfully doesn't send them off course here through the climbing S's. Oh, Ben Laughter, though, goes off on his own. He's out of shape. He catches it, but he's on the other side of the track, thankfully, before they go completely through the South Bend. And he'll be able to at least carry on racing, but he's now far behind. Final 5 minutes of this race. Battle for the lead in the GTPs is still on.
And Joe, I think that Togo Hisada is the faster of the two cars. Remember, he got held up. He chased down Ator immediately. You look at fast lap comparison. He's 0.2 faster in terms of fast lap. He's hunted him down. It's just a matter of getting around him, which is a totally different thing.
Absolutely. Sometimes it can be a little tricky here at VIR to try and make those passes stick, despite chances to do so. Still a little bit timid coming up into the roller coaster, not willing to risk the car. I wonder if it comes down to the very end, if that tune will change.
Get the run out of Hogpen here. He's close, but I don't think quite close enough. Use the toe, that slipstream, as much as he can. Try to draw it back in, going into turn 1. You see him ever so close but not quite able to get the move done. And Joe, I'm going to nerd out one more time. You were mentioning the GTOs and how fast they are down the straightaway and the motors that they use. Well, back in the 70s and 80s, when we were really discovering turbocharging technology, especially in these cars and also the flying bricks, they would actually make the block and the head one piece because they throw so much boost at it. They would be separating the head off of the block. So what do? Make it all one piece.
Oh my goodness, that is ridiculous. Yeah, the 80s were a time of excess, and I guess racing was not exempt from this. As we had a pass for the lead, I think. Trangrade and Lake swap around once again.
That was off the. Yeah, go ahead.
That was down Madison Avenue. Yeah, we were about to say the same thing. Is not nearly as close here in the GTPs, still separated between Hisada and Sintez Galindo. Let's take a look at that pass between the 5 and the 99.
We've seen it so often down the back straightaway. This is where those Audis, you look at it, it's like a big brick, punching a hole through the air. So that means that drafting opportunity is quite large. Trangrade to the left side, late on the brakes, pretty straightforward, textbook.
All right, but he's not out of the woods because Phil Lake is still right with him. These two pretty much the same as Aitor and Togo, giving us a show today. And if I know these two, they are grinning ear to ear. Both of them relish a good battle.
I think that's the whole reason why we race, is that it's fun, right? And when you have a good race, a good competitor, it makes it even more fun. It's always nice to get out, shake hands, smile, and have a good conversation about how awesome the race was.
Yeah, there's no points on the line. There's not even any money on the line. There's no prizes because we're making sure plenty of funds go to Mick here. This is all for pride and just for the entertainment factor. So these guys are delivering in spades in that realm. As here we go again with the GTPs now up towards Oak Tree. They might actually catch those two just at the end of this race. Will we see an eclipse between the two classes right at the finish line?
It's going to get busy at turn 14 here, but look at this. I think Togo's as close as he's ever been to Aitor. They've been extremely respectful with the GTO traffic. They're approaching it here again in turn 14. I expect to see the same, but this is going to close it up.
And Phil got it back again. Pretty much a mirror version of what happened before, with Phil Lake now passing down the Madison Avenue. So will this be a last lap snipe between those drivers as well? Who gets the run and stays ahead into the braking of roller coaster? Meanwhile, Aitor leads Togo down the front stretch. Togo trying to stay within arm's reach, but can't quite attempt to pass this time.
And we did cross the line with about 5 seconds to spare, so we will have 2 laps remaining here. Just what we want to see. Don't end this battle too soon.
They are definitely going to catch them before this is over, but I think it's going to be on this lap and not the last one. Oh, off course goes Sintez Galindo. Oh, and he gets hit in the back. Unfortunately, not anticipating the car going slow. Hisada runs into him. Sintez Galindo runs into the wall. That may have ended the fight.
And I really think it was just miscommunication between the two, because I think Togo wants to race this one out. I actually see him slowing down on the racetrack right now, and Aitor said the same thing. He made a mistake. He said, put his hands up, said, hey, that's my bad, but look at this. Can Trangrade get back around Philip Lake?
Indeed, they have now swapped a couple times, and Aitor, just got on the radio to Togo, said no worries. So they're in good straits there, but I'm not sure how damaged Aitor is by that one, if he's going to be slow in a straight line. This will be a good answer on it, at least.
Yeah, you see here that Togo has slowed up. It's also brought Emerson Gowden right to the back here. So it's kind of nice. We're going to have a nice picture to round out the race for our GTP 1, 2, 3.
Is this the last lap?
It shouldn't be. They have to get the white flag from Barney, I believe, in order to get the checker.
But I think they will have enough time here. I think this should be it. Yeah, final lap out now. So let's watch and see if they wave the checkered flag for Togo Hisada. Sintez Galindo still behind him, but not going to take the lead away from him as he crosses the line. And that is not it. They are going to get, you were right, they're going to get one more lap to finish this one.
Right now, Togo Hisada still leads the way, but you had mentioned the damage possibly on Aitor, and it looks like that is biting him a little bit. We have a new second-place runner, Emerson Gowden.
Who could take the podium finish away from Sintez Galindo, but also try and chase down Hisada, who is still not fully up to speed. I'm not sure if he's still trying to let Sintez Galindo through, but they go past Glenn Becker. And suddenly, Gaudin goes from looking at what looks like an absolute third to a sudden potential win.
I think I saw one car off track. That might have been Glenn Becker going full rally car, Pro 2 style through the S's and through Oak Tree one final time. GTP's lined up nose to tail. Who's got the best drag race?
And they haven't caught our lead battle, so they're going to get an extra lap because they're side by side as well. Down into the roller coaster. Lake down to the inside. Trangrade to the outside. Trangrade can't get it done. Lake will retain the lead.
Oh, and through Hogpen. The GTP cars are just entering roller coaster right now, so Togo Hisada pretty much going to chase them down the hill. As these cars, I believe they should be getting the white flag. Oh, Emerson Gowden just passed Togo Hisada on the final corner.
Hisada with two wheels in the grass, and Emerson Gowden takes a shock win here in the first race of the Mick Claridge Charity Races. Hisada second, Sintez Galindo third. This is the mistake. I maybe just went a little bit wide.
I know in Hogpen, you use the compression. Yeah, looks like Togo just might have carried a little bit too much apex speed into that second apex and couldn't hold it on the track.
And it's still a battle for the win as they've got this last lap to go between Trangrade and Lake. Yuri Giesen's already done, so this is the last cars they're going to be finishing this event as they come up and into South Bend one more time. Trangrade has the track advantage.
Absolutely, but it's coming through Oak Tree. Let's see who can put the power down. Coming out of one of the slowest corners here, Trangrade in the number 5 actually gets a really nice launch, but because of the shape of that Audi, he's punching a giant hole. Here comes the slipstream.
He's got the run. Can Trangrade hold him back? He's going to have to fight hard in the roller coaster. Lake just barely side by side. It wasn't as good of a run as I thought. They're going to go wheel to wheel once again, making contact round the outside. What a move by Lake, but cutting back. Ove Trangrade going to try and retake him. Gets chopped off down into Hogpen. Now they swing onto the main straight. Once again, blocked at the apex as Phil Lake shuts the door. And that is going to get him the win here for the GTOs at the Camel Race. Barely less than a car length ahead.
5/100ths of a second separating the GTO finish.
So your winner in the GTPs was Emerson Gaudin, with Togo Hisada finishing second behind him and Aitor Sintez Galindo finishing third after getting that damage late in the race. Lance Simon had a bit of a rough one, but did manage to finish on the lead lap in fourth. What about the GTOs?
Well, we just saw Philip Lake just 5/100ths of a second edging out Ove Trangrade in second place. Yuri Giesen here in third. Jamie Hummel-Smith fourth. John Olsen in that fifth place transfer spot. Ben Laughter sixth place. Andrew Gatorick in seventh. Glenn Becker eighth and Bjorn Ackerman ninth.
Okay, so we're going to be hopping over into the next session, but first, before we leave you, we do have the man of the hour, Mick Claridge, ready to talk to us. Mick, this is Joe up in the booth. First of all, do you have a copy? No, he was actually on the road, so might still be trying to find a good spot. Mick, this is Joe up in the booth. Do you have a copy? See if we can get him in, maybe in a little bit. We'll keep him around just in case.
Can you hear me, guys?
There we go. Now we've got Mick ready to chat with us. Mick, I don't know if you were able to watch any of that race. Oh, he can't hear us. So
Joe, honestly, I was waiting for Seb Tixier to jump in and start talking as Mick.
If only we could add that. While we wait for Mick maybe to try and see if he can sort out the audio, we do have Phil Lake ready to talk to us, the winner. We'll let Joey talk to our GTO Victor.
Hey, Phil, what an awesome victory. You guys put on a show for us in that GTO class.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, actually. I haven't really raced that closely with Ove for a long time. Maybe sort of 2018, I think, was the last time I can remember having some scraps with him. Yeah, and what a driver. Obviously, he's super talented in the 49 and in the Audi too, so it was great fun to race with him.
Well, what was it like from the driver's seat? Because you never got a break that entire time. It was a 25-minute race, and it just seemed like you and Trengrade were swapping positions every single lap. Did you have a chance to breathe yet?
No, not really. Quite early on, I think they all shuffled about behind me, and I got a little bit of a gap and thought I might just be able to relax and put some decent lap times in, and that would be that. But no, it wasn't like that. So, yeah, it was. I was starting to think about what to do on the last lap in that kind of situation, but then Ove passed me the lap before, so then that changed everything I'd planned. So, yeah, it was just great fun. It was so clean. I don't think we even touched doors. So, yeah, awesome race.
You two put on a heck of a show to watch. Congratulations on that win in the first Mick Claridge charity race, and we'll see you over there at Okayama.
Yep, cheers, guys.
Yep, the driver is obviously encouraged to partake in a variety of the races, just so that we can have more fun there. We're working with Mick to see if we can get his audio sorted out, so hopefully we'll chat with him in a little bit here. While we wait for that to get going, actually, it looks like we are already in the race. So why don't we head on over to the race coverage of the Lotus 49s and get that underway in a moment. Hopefully we'll have pictures pretty soon. This one going to be over in Japan at Okayama. As I mentioned, another 25-minute race that the drivers are going to be participating in. Same deal as before. Top 5 will advance. This time, though, Lotus 49 and Lotus 79, Joey, are racing in this one. Very different machines, but also some similarities.
Yeah, well, it sticks with the theme. I know that Mick loves these Lotus 49 machines, so it's always nice to kind of pay respect there. The most popular car that he races, well, let's put it on the racetrack and see what they got. You combine it with Okayama, probably one of the most well-known circuits on iRacing, and it's going to be a good race. Like you mentioned, the race is already going on right now. It looks like we are working lap number 3. Currently, Bjorn Ackerman leading Barry West in those Lotus 79s. While we've got more of an all-star race, more MVPs out here. Jim Shedlick in the Lotus 49s. I also see Steve Morris, Glenn Becker, and Gary Ho.
Indeed. So a little bit of a smaller field and maybe starting, unfortunately, a little bit ahead of time that we thought it was supposed to be. We're going to give one more try with Mick Claridge here. Mick, again, we could hear you before. Do you have a copy for us? Oh, looks like he does not hear us still. So a little bit sad that we won't get to chat with him. He's very much in flux because he's been working on getting a lot of his stuff put back into storage. So like I said, he's kind of on the road and on his phone. So
I've got you guys.
Oh, there we go. Now we got you. Mick, oh, so glad to hear your voice. At least your actual voice. We had an impersonator in here earlier.
Yeah, do you know what? I do like tea. And he got me spot on there, didn't he?
Yeah, it certainly cracked us up. You know, I was talking to Ben a little bit earlier how this has really given me the warm fuzzies, just watching everybody come together to help you get back on the road. What has it been like from your perspective, watching everybody come together like this?
Oh, do you know what, Joe? I was thinking of a way to explain it to you because I heard you say that on the broadcast, and obviously I feel the same about that. And I was going through, I was riding through Slovakia one day, and a guy dragged me in and fed me and gave me a drink. Just a guy off the street who saw me having lunch, and I remember leaving him. And as I was riding away from him, I actually had a lump in my throat because I just couldn't believe the kindness of the guy. So I mean, you can imagine how this has affected me. I mean, this has turned just from my personal ride into like the iRacing classic car community ride around the world now. You know, this is unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. I never thought this would happen again. Ben approached me, like he said in the broadcast, and changed my mind. And another guy, Bjorn Ackerman, organised his T-shirt, because the T-shirt got stolen as well. So that was it for me. You know, I came back home and I didn't actually realise that the T-shirt had gone, you know, because I wasn't thinking straight. Anyway, I got back home to England and all the things started going around in my head, and I thought, damn, the T-shirt went as well, you know. And that really was it. I just thought, I can't do that again. And then Bjorn Ackerman came to me and said, look, I've got a T-shirt. I'll send it round to the guys that have already signed. You know, and I just thought, damn, I just thought, Jesus, I didn't even think of that. And then Ben approached me and said, look, you should carry on. You've got so many guys supporting you. And that was it. The guys turned me around. And yeah, so it's back on, you know. And now the donations, most of the guys that raced today have donated on the GoFundMe as well. If not all of them. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, it's been so heartening to watch, and I've loved seeing, honestly, what I've considered kind of almost the evolution, because I remember how upset you were, which is understandable, after the initial, you know, bike disappearing and whatnot, and the change around to just you being so excited to get back on the road now. I love watching and seeing you get your spirits back high. Sadly, we missed a little bit of the start of the race here, unfortunately, on this one, just with a small error. But we do still have, it looks like, 5 cars out, and 2 of your favorites, both of the Lotuses. This has got to be fun to watch, sort of the kind of crazy format we've got going on this weekend.
Yeah, it's great to see the guys. I mean, I know numbers are low and everything, but that's just great to see the guys. Like I say, the guys have turned up and much all of them have already donated. And it's just great to see them go out there and have some fun. I was just watching the Camel race, and I just thought, God, you know, it doesn't matter if you put 60 cars on the grid or 13. It's just nuts, ain't it, Camel? It's just brilliant. So yeah, fair play to the guys. Great to see Togo giving it some welly in that Nissan. Can't believe that guy.
Now, you have one thing that I love about working with you on this project is I never really feel like I have to do much to try and sell people on it, because you make it so entertaining, this ride. So do the work for me again. You know, why should they watch, you know, the episodes we already have out, and then the ones that we're working on? You know, give us the elevator pitch.
Well, do you know what? I mean, I remember you telling me, you know, as I go across Europe again, just do something that's, you know, if you find something that's interesting, you know, just film. I ended up filming more than I did the first time when I went across it. So, I mean, season 2 is just going to be insane with all the stuff. And you guys, I mean, all the guys that have watched these videos have watched the meetups of all the guys, and, you know, the T-shirt sign and all the rest of it. I can't wait for everyone to see Bjorn Ackerman's T-shirt sign up. It's just crazy. Think of somewhere where you would not expect someone to sign a T-shirt, and this is like so much more crazier than anything you can think of. I just can't wait for the guys to see it. It's just nuts. I'm not going to spoil it though, obviously. Okay,
well, I was about to say, I haven't even seen the T-shirt, so now you've got me curious as to what.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was a bit different.
Well, man, this is a real testament to the beauty of sim racing. It's brought so many people from around the world together in a way that I don't think any of us expected. Because it isn't even just the sim racing anymore. Everybody getting together for your ride and getting to have time together. Because I've watched the footage behind the scene of the connections you've gotten to have with all these folks. Getting to meet them in person. It's amazing the world that we live in now, that sim racing has allowed us to really, for you to do this and literally get to go to people around the world you've never met face to face and shack up with them and get to have a hell of a time out there.
Do you know what, Joe? The driver meetups have been the main reason that I'm doing this now. Every time I've met a guy, I've been blown away by the hospitality, by the kindness of all the guys that I've met, and just, just to talk about what we do here on iRacing, and the way I look at it, all these guys in the Camel series, the Lotus 79, the 49, back in the V8, before I used to drive the 49, every minute of the day, I used to be in the V8 supercar. I'm going to meet those guys when I get to Australia. All of you guys are just born racers. You've just been, you just got little cars driving around in your veins, the whole lot of you. And I just love it. I love it. This is what we was like born to do, we want to race cars. We want to race them hard. We can't afford to do it in real life, so let's do it on a computer instead. Doesn't matter, does it?
Exactly. Now, if you don't want to pick favorites, I don't want to put you too much under the gun here, but we've got Bjorn Ackerman, Barry West, Jim Shedlick, Steve Morris, and Glenn Becker here. Who are you throwing your hat in with? Who are you cheering on to try and take a win today?
Glenn Becker, man. There's no other one like him.
All right. Well, I have bad news for you. He's a lap down in last place of everybody right now, but he's still trying.
Okay, I'm not actually watching. I can't watch the race and talk to you at the same time, so I'm going to watch it in a minute. But yeah. So I don't know. Jim's got to be out front, hasn't he? Surely.
Yep. Jim's out front, at least in his class in the 49s. Bjorn Ackerman's beating Barry West, but by about 1.6 seconds. Our audience, if they've been wanting to watch the racing, they've at least watched it. I know we haven't been talking about it, but I wanted to get a chance to really chat with you about this whole endeavor, because this is all for you, Mick. And thank you so much for all the entertainment you've given us and all the determination. It really has been inspiring, sir.
Yeah, cheers, Joe, and thank you to everyone. I just can't thank everyone enough, and everyone out there knows who I mean. There's been so many people. There's miles too many people to thank now. It goes right from the bottom of the list to the top. They all mean everything, to continue this thing now, and yeah, it's just unbelievable. I'm just going to really enjoy watching camel drivers driving the 49 now. That's going to be good.
Well, I'll let you go. Enjoy the race. One last thing before we go. I know we don't usually like to spoil things, but I at least want to let people know, because Sally was such a big character and we're so, we're all distraught that she's gone. Who is the new love of your life that's going to be joining you on this trip?
Oh, this is another thing. This is another unbelievable show of kindness. One of my best mates back here in the UK, Jeff Squibb, just gave me his bike. And, it was a Mongoose Argos, it's called. It's a fat bike from 2017. And, Sally's gone. She's doing her thing in Kazakhstan or wherever it is, She don't mind. She's a bike, mate, She'll do anything, And, but, yeah, the new one's called Molly. So, not really had a chance to chat to her yet. She's a bit shy, so I don't know. She's actually sitting in the car behind me now. So, maybe she'll spark up sooner or later. But, yeah, can't wait to let everyone know about Molly.
Well, that's a good name, because that's actually what my car is named. So.
Oh, nice one. I like that. Brilliant.
All right. Well, best of luck again, Mill. Looking forward to getting back on the road, and thanks again.
Cheers, Joe. Thanks a lot, guys.
Mick Claridge, who is literally attempting to ride around the world in his bike, is going to get back on the road. Don't worry, he's not going to have to start from square one. He's going to fly out to where he left off, and then we'll pick up there, because he's actually literally, Joey, he has ridden across Europe 3 times already to try and do this.
If I could draw a parallel, it seems a bit like a Chutes and Ladders game.
Yeah, it really is. And it's always been something different that has set him back. But bless the guy, he's in his 50s and he isn't giving up on it. He's gone back out and tried again every single time. Right now, trying hard, Bjorn Ackerman, as we said, is your leader, but only by 2 seconds over Barry West. Is going to give it his best. I don't think we've ever seen Barry West take a win in the 79s on this channel. So even though it's only 2 cars, if he can get that win, Barry West would be beside himself if he could take this.
Yeah, absolutely. And if memory serves me correctly, I think in the Lotus 79 series, Barry West is on top of the F2 points championship. So yeah, I'm sure that he's focused in the car right now. He's comfortable in the 79, and he's chasing down Bjorn Ackerman.
Keeping him honest. He's got 9 minutes left to go. And again, multi-class race out here, so anything could happen. if they catch back up to those Lotus 49s here. In fact, actually, well, they've got one more, Glenn Becker up the road. That's going to be the last one that they'll overtake, and then they are past all the traffic, and it's going to be clear sailing. So this could be the key moment for Barry West. He's got to hope that Bjorn might get a little bit held up here.
And I would think that in these Lotus 79 cars, it's going to be a race all the way to the checkered flag. Okayama does not necessarily suit this style of race car. It's a lot of slow hairpin corners where the car isn't making any downforce. So got to be careful not to overstep the limit at any point.
Here we go around the last two corners through Mike Knight and into literally named last corner past Glenn Becker. And not going to hold up Ackerman hardly at all. So he lucked out. Here is Glenn Becker's view. And there's the difference. The braking between the cars is the big thing. The downforce between them separates 1967 from 1978.
It's pretty wild to think we were nerding out on those camel cars, but only 10 years separation between these two. And you want to talk about a speed difference? It's even more drastic.
Well, and you could just about draw a straight line, between them all, because the 49 was revolutionary when it was revealed. It was the first car with the chassis and the engine as one piece, and then you go to the 79. That was the first ground effects car, and the 79 utilized those ground effects as well. So basically, you go from this first 49 and eventually wind up in that 1989 Nissan, and that's a lot of racing history right there.
It's kind of been the tagline of Formula One, that they are constantly pushing the technology in the auto world. And I tell people all the time, because I have a feeling that F1 doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of fans in America, at least in comparison to NASCAR and IMSA and some of the other stuff. But I look at current Formula One, and you have to look at that as the highest form of civilian technology that we really have. That's kind of a form of entertainment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would wager you're right on that one. Also, I will say that in the last few years since Drive to Survive came out, the fact that I now have friends that never even gave a second thought to racing all these years and would hear me nerding out about it, who will come to me to tell me about, did you see the Formula One race? And it's been strange for me to see that evolution.
Marketing is a pretty powerful tool. I'm happy that they're hitting the demographics, at least over here in the States, because it's probably the most expensive sport in the world when you look at a per entry basis, and it's fun to follow.
It is, and here in the old Formula One car, Steve Morris running second, currently 10 seconds behind Shedlick, so not nearly as close of a race. Steve's been a long-time runner in this car in the Grand Prix Legend Series, which we just finished a little bit earlier. If you missed that, you can just hop on our channel and go watch the replay on that one. Barry West, he's closed it down. It was 2 seconds. It's down to 1 second between them.
And even that last lap, Barry took out quite a big time chunk, about 0.6 of a second on that last lap alone.
All right, so this race is on. Could we see Barry West overtake Bjorn Ackerman for the win in the Lotus 79 class?
Oh.
Bit of a mistake. He's going to go very wide. Barry West has a nice run, and he's already beyond him before they get to the end of the straight. He could cover him off. Ackerman does not go down to the inside. Defending, Barry West takes it away down to the hairpin and is now leading this race.
What a move. I mentioned these Lotus 79 cars aren't very happy at this track. Well, Bjorn Ackerman tried to put the power down, and the rear tire said no. That's what gave Barry West the drive down the straightaway.
Wonder if his car just not working as well in the long term here, if it's starting to go away from him. Now Barry West makes the mistake, and Bjorn looks to the inside but can't capitalize. He's going to stay behind.
This is a good little race here with 4.5 minutes remaining. Barry West misses the final corner just a little bit. That's going to open the door for Bjorn Ackerman. Uses the toe, but the front straightaway not very long here at Okayama. They both go deep. Ackerman off into the gravel.
You could tell they were both giving it 110%. Maybe in the case of Bjorn Ackerman, a little too much as he spins it around. But Barry West, despite slipping wide, keeps it on the track and now has a gap of 6.5 seconds. He just has to bring it home over the next 4 minutes.
And, you know, this is all in good fun and for a good cause. I'm sure that Barry West, after making that pass, was smiling. And then after taking it too deep into turn one and seeing Ackerman spin out behind him, I'm sure he let out a little bit of an evil laugh there.
Yeah, he's probably glad. Although I think he may be going a little slow. Yeah, I think he wants to make this fun. He wants to make this entertaining to the end. So he's holding up to let Ackerman get back to him.
Yeah, just great respect, and I think that's what we all are waiting here for, is we want to race, right? That's why we're on iRacing. That's why we are using the service. And what's the point in running away when your buddy is here to race with you?
Yep, and this is going to be, I think, 3 laps to go when they cross the line here. So just a few more left, and then today's racing is done again. If you missed earlier, we've got 2 more races tomorrow. Same time, 10:45 a.m. Eastern. AM this time, not going to mess that one up. And that is going to be in the Pro 2 light trucks at Laguna Seca with no track limits to try and decide who are the last drivers to get in. And then the final race of the weekend going to be the GR86s at Rudskogen. Everybody coming together. Most likely, it's looking like, based on attendance, it'll just be everybody getting to get in and compete. So that should be a fun time. Those cars race fantastic. And another mistake from Ackerman up through Atwood is going to put him even farther back.
Oh, man, trying to catch his buddy, just pushing it a little bit too hard. And Jim Shedlick still leading the way in these Lotus 49s. Doesn't have any sort of pressure behind him. Got about 30 seconds back to Steve Morse.
Speaking of Americans in F1, Jim Shedlick, hailing from Club Carolinas, is one of those that has been just wicked fast in the Lotus 49 every time he shows up. Has taken many, many wins in the series. And if you see him on the grid, you might as well expect to have a race on your hands if you're a fast one, and expect that you're not going to be in for the win if you're one of the slow ones.
Yeah, Joe, and I think talking to the majority of people, which is me, I'm going to be the one trying to chase him and flying off the racetrack in the first corner, not even able to keep up.
Yeah, just incredibly fast American driver in this car. Usually it's mostly Europeans that tend to be dominating up at the front. Although we've started to have some more Asian drivers with Togo Sada. Seb Tixier is originally French, but lives in Singapore and represents that country, at least in terms of both his iRacing club and the Cup of Nations that we run over in that series. So there's definitely been some more representation starting to arrive, as well as few South American drivers that we have been getting over there. Now, Barry West once again has slowed up to allow Ackerman to catch up to him. We should be getting the white flag next time by. He wants some fun here. He doesn't want to scamper away with this victory.
I think you see it a lot of times when the guys start at the back, too, is that they want to have the racing. They want to go and make those passes. Same sort of mentality here. Barry West wants to race it out for the final lap. We will be getting that white flag. I wonder how close, though, now that Bjorn is there, how close does Barry actually let him get to him?
Yeah, that's the question. Does he truly want it to be a fight, or does he just want it to look like, oh, he barely beat him? As there's the white flag, 1 to go. One last reminder, if you haven't been watching up till now, this is all a charity race. If you have the opportunity or are willing, we're raising funds to get if I could say names today, Mick Claridge back on the bike and bicycling around the world. His gear, almost everything was stolen. So there's a GoFundMe link in the YouTube chat, and there is a pinned message in the YouTube chat, and in the YouTube description there is a link down there as well to help finish raising the funds for him.
I'm seeing quite a bit of money. It's extremely impressive. I love the sim racing community when they get together for stuff like this. It really is just, it touches the heart, doesn't it?
Again, I mean, there's no, I mean, I was going to say there's no fame and glory in this, but there is some fame, I'm sure, because Mick's enjoying entertaining everybody, but there's no money in this. Again, Mick's not making anything off of this, so this is all just strictly for the challenge of it. Looks like the challenge for Barry West was a great one today, as he didn't lead many laps. But as he comes off the corner, is he going to be able to bring it home? It's going to be close. It'll be right down to the wire as they get to the line. Ackerman just shy, as Barry West is going to win in the Lotus 79s at the very end.
Oh, that was a little bit too close for comfort, if you ask me, for Barry West, going hair on fire into the last corner. And now this is Jim Shedlick in the number 5. Wheeling around the Lotus 49, the last half of the lap here, and then he will collect the victory for those cars.
A little bit more comfortable at 32 seconds ahead of Steve. And he comes up and around Redmond and Hobbs. A lot of the corners here named after drivers. I don't think that actually raced here necessarily, but a lot of famous drivers, Moss, Atwood, Mike Knight as well. And for Jim Shedlick, I'm sure he wishes he could maybe be as well known as some of them, but he's definitely famous enough in the GPL series that this is going to be a well-earned victory as he crosses the line and actually cruises down. Is he going to come on and cross it? Don't make us sit and wait here, buddy. And there it is. Now he's crossed the timing line and comes to a halt. That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews in just a moment, so stick around.
There's a bear in the woods.
Right, come on, you fatty. Come on, fatty.
I don't even know who lives in there or what the hell's going on there.
Could I sleep in there today? Oh, no room.
And we're on the way there. Ignore the farm. We go and a bit of that, a bit of...
Singers, James, singers I've got.
My pedal broke, man. And thanks to Showdown Bros, Mick is on the most useless street in the world. Come on! Always keep a shoe in your kitchen department, guys.
Don't worry, it's the COVID talking. It's probably wild boar, a few bears, a lot of women washing their cars saying hi on the side of the road.
Go on, Mick, feel it, Mick, feel it, feel it.
I might be going mad.
Want to see me underwear?
Welcome back to Okayama. Second race of our 4 races this weekend for the Where Is Mick charity races. Sees Barry West take the win in the Lotus 79. It's a bit of a small field. Just had a little bit of a hiccup on this one. And Bjorn Ackerman, 0.06 of a second behind him. Meanwhile, Jim Shedlick won in the Lotus 49s ahead of Steve Morris in second and Glenn Becker third. Gary Ho and Richard Covington looks like they did not start, sadly, on this one. So only 5 cars getting to compete, but one of them was Jim Shedlick. Let's have a chat with our winner in the Lotus 49s. Jim, it looked like it wasn't all that exciting out there for you, but proving once again why you're one of the fastest in this car.
Yeah, thanks. A little bit of a hot lap challenge today. I think, unfortunately, I think some of the drivers who wanted to be here just couldn't quite make it after the first race. But I did try to make it interesting. Started from the pits, but had the lead on lap 2, so there wasn't a whole lot after that.
Yeah, it looked like it. Well, I mean, knowing that, obviously, not everybody has the time and resources. So will we see you for the GR86 race on tomorrow that you're now entered for?
Yeah, definitely intending to do so. I haven't raced that track before, so definitely have some practice to do, and should be interesting, that's for sure.
Very cool stuff. We can't thank you enough for taking part in this and helping support the cause of trying to get Mick back on the road. Do you guys miss having him out in the 49s on track? Are you glad he's out bicycling instead of taking wins away from you?
Yeah, Mick and I, we haven't had a whole lot of chances to really go head to head in the Lotus. It just seems like the sort of time that I raced, it didn't quite line up with times that he was racing. And but I know, he's a legend for the series that's made a lot of this possible over time. And so definitely wanted to be here from that perspective. And also, I wanted to be here just because he, just a cyclist in me. It's a pretty cool challenge riding around the world. Like that's pretty awesome. And sucks the way that the last one ended. So it's all right not racing with him if he's doing something that awesome. So it's such a great personal challenge.
Yeah, we were kind of musing on that earlier, that there's no money in it. It's all just he decided he wanted to do it. And when he told me, I said, sign me up. I want to document this. This sounds incredibly cool. Well, congratulations on the win, Jim. Certainly showed incredible pace out there.
Appreciate it. And I'll see you all tomorrow.
So that was our winner, Jim Shedlick, going to be joining us again in the GR86. Let's see if we can have a quick chat with Ben Laughter here, who, again, has done a lot of hard work behind the scenes to try and make this happen. Let's see what he thought about today. Joey, I believe, has caught up with Ben.
Yeah, Ben, after the couple of races, how's it going here this morning for you, and what did you think?
Hey guys, so I wish I hadn't screwed up the timing. I know that about 10 guys wanted to get into the second race, and I kind of messed it up, the hosted sessions, the way that their start schedules happened, and so I apologize to the group, but I think everyone who was able to participate had a really good time today and put on a fun show. And I'm working on a revised schedule for tomorrow's races. I'll get that posted to all of the Discords very shortly here. But I want to thank everyone again for coming out, just having a good time, and helping Mick get back on the bike. The GoFundMe broke 4K a little while ago, plus what we got from the race registrations. So we're doing great, getting Mick rolling again. So thanks to everybody again.
Well, I was going to ask about the donations and the GoFundMe and everything. It looks like it's doing extremely well. I know that we've posted that link down there. If anybody is out there listening that wants to donate, follow that link, and you too can help out Mick Claridge on his ride around. And looking at tomorrow, I know that we mentioned it briefly. Can you give us a quick rundown on what we're expecting there?
We're going to let our hair down and do something stupid. We are going to take the Pro 2 light trucks and go to Laguna Seca and find out various ways to get down that corkscrew in those things. I think it's going to be full contact sports. It's going to be good times, and I just hope everyone shows up and has some fun. I drove a few laps of it earlier today and had a blast. And then after that, we'll close things off with the GR86, which is just a fun little car. Slow cars make for great close racing, and a fun little car at Rudskogen, which is a kind of a newish fun track a lot of people might not have a lot of experience with. So maybe it'll be a bit of a skill leveler to be in an unfamiliar car at an unfamiliar track, and again create a bunch of close racing. So at the end of the day, it's all to get Mick back on his bike and back around the world, but why not have some fun while doing some good?
Well, Ben, I just want to take a moment and say thank you. I know that Mick is an incredibly popular character. I mean, look at how many people are out here in support of him. And for you to take on it and really help organize a lot of this, just thank you.
Yeah, you bet. It's been my pleasure. I don't mind helping out at all. Sorry about the rookie mistakes on the scheduling here, but it's been a fun and inspirational little project to help get Mick going again.
Well, we'll be in touch with you tomorrow. That was Ben Laughter, really helping out organizing all of this stuff. Get Mick Claridge back on the road.
Yeah, honestly, just cannot thank him enough because, like I said, it's the work that usually nobody wants to do. So he's taken on a lot here in a very short amount of time. Thank you for watching, and thanks to everybody who has participated. But we're not done. Make sure and join us tomorrow. But also thanks to the team today, Ryan, Joey, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and a merchandise store listed on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, including more of the Where Is Mick stuff. Next race tomorrow, 10:45 a.m. Eastern. Again, we'll be at Laguna Seca to kick things off in the Pro 2 lights. And up today, we have another broadcast coming up. The Camel GT Series is at Road Atlanta at 1 p.m. Eastern. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.